Good evening, and thanks for joining us. As a reminder, we're recording this meeting and we'll post the meeting video and materials to the project website. This is our August 13th, 2025 Filtration Project Neighbor Information Meeting. My name is Benita Oswald, and I coordinate the communications for the Bull Run Filtration Project. And on our agenda today, if I can get this changed. Okay, we have a welcome from our Deputy Program Manager, Michelle Cheek, and she's going to give us a program overview. We have Adam Ward here, and he is going to talk about the pipeline construction updates, and he is our pipeline construction manager. On the facility side, we have Tom Robertson, who is our facility construction manager. And he's going to talk about some of the things that are happening at the facility site. And then we'll go into some questions and comments as we always do. So I will turn it over to Michelle.
Great. Thanks, Bonita. Good evening, everyone. As Bonita said, I'm Michelle Cheek and with the Water Bureau, and I am our Deputy Program Director. And thanks for joining us tonight. I hope everybody survived the warm weather and is staying cool. And it's cooled off a little bit today, but not too much. But thanks for coming out tonight. So our last meeting was in January, so it's been a while since we last met. I'll start with my usual project overview and then provide some brief status updates before turning it over to Adam and Tom for more specifics on the pipelines and filtration projects. So this slide is an overview of the facility, looking southwest from the main entry off of Carpenter Lane. I'll do just a quick walkthrough of the site, and Aubrey always does a great job of moving her cursor for me. But as you enter the facility from Carpenter Lane and what looks like a roundabout there, off to the right is our Clearwell facilities, and those are buried underground. And that's actually the end of the treatment process where we add soda ash and carbon dioxide and chlorine for disinfection and also corrosion control. But heading on into the facility down the roadway there, off to the right is our administration building, where all of our operators will be working once the facility is online. And then as you move further into the site, off to the left is a maintenance building. And then I guess, past the maintenance building and the administration building. I was trying to get my directions right, and I'm just going to give up on that. But anyways, just past the administration and maintenance building, we have our chemical building where all of the chemicals that will be used in the water treatment process are housed and stored. And then across from that is our solids handling facility. So all of the turbidity that gets removed, turbidity and sediments that get removed from the water during the treatment process are collected and then treated and hauled off as a solid material. And then to the right of the chemical feed facility is really the heart of the process. That's where raw water or untreated water from Bull Run watershed comes into the facility and goes through a flocculation and sedimentation process. And that's where that turbidity and sediment drops out of the water and gets collected. And then that settled water moves on to the filters where the water is filtered to remove any remaining turbidity or sediment or contaminants such as cryptosporidium that are in the water before it then, the filtered water then continues on to that clear well that I mentioned. So that's the whole site and the process. And the project is not just about the treatment facility. We also have to get water to and from our new facility. And to accomplish that, we'll be constructing approximately 7 miles of new seismically resilient water pipe or water pipelines to convey water to and from the facility and our existing pipelines in the area. To the east of the facility site, we have a new unfiltered water pipeline that will convey water from our existing pipelines and Lusted Road to the southeast corner of the facility. And then to the north and west of the site, a new filtered water pipeline will convey filtered and treated water from the Clearwell to a new finished water intertie, which is located on the south side of Lusted Road. And then from our finished water intertie, water will travel down some new finished water pipes that connect to our existing pipelines that head into Portland. And then we do actually serve some customers in the area. And so we'll be constructing a local distribution main and Cottrell Road to provide filtered water to our existing customers in the area. And then access to the filtration site during construction and ultimate operations will be east off of Cottrell Road and onto Carpenter Lane, entering the site from the north. But there will also be an emergency access to Bluff Road in Clackamas County to the south. Next slide. So as most of you know, since we last met in January, LUBA remanded or sent back to the county one item related to natural resources. The remand required us to stop work until the remand process was completed, and we received reapproval from Multnomah County. And we did receive that reapproval in late June, and the contractors have been remobilizing and ramping up construction activities with a full ramp up expected by the end of the month. To help make up some of the delay due to the remand and also take advantage of the nice weather, our typical construction hours will be Monday through Saturday for the foreseeable future. So, what else? In addition to the facility and pipelines construction activities, we're also preparing for some additional roadway improvements in the area to maintain our haul routes in a serviceable condition, which is a good segue into the next slide. So with the construction ramp up comes increased truck traffic. Our trucks are required to follow allowed haul routes, some with restricted hours during school drop off and pickup times, which is extremely important as school restarts on September 2nd. The haul routes that are actually used will vary throughout the project depending on the activities occurring at the project sites, but trucks must follow the allowed haul routes and any haul route restrictions at all times. All the haul routes have been signed in the field, and haul route maps have also been provided to our construction truck drivers as part of their project training. The orange box on the haul route map is the Multnomah County project area and was defined through the land use process. So in addition to ensuring trucks are following the haul routes, our contractors are also responsible for monitoring and maintaining the condition of roads in this area. So the contractors have staff doing spot checks on road conditions such as dirt and potholes, and making sure trucks are following the allowed routes. Next slide. So the Water Bureau has also been working closely with Multnomah County on road conditions in the area and addressing any issues when necessary. So for example, 2 of the roads designated as haul or detour routes on the map that I just showed for construction traffic are scheduled for repaving in the next couple of months. So Cottrell Road between Lusted and Bluff is scheduled for September. And some of you might recall we temporarily stopped using Cottrell due to repairs that weren't holding up, but we recently received Multnomah County's approval to resume use of Cottrell Road until the repaving work is completed in September. And until the repaving work starts, we'll be inspecting the road daily and completing any needed repairs. And then we'll also be repaving a portion of Lusted Road between Altman and Pleasant Home in late August. So that's a little heads up on some of the road work headed your way. But now I'll pass things over to Adam for some more updates on the pipeline project.
Thank you, Michelle. Just to get us started, just a little more detail on the pipeline project. We designate two different pieces of work for pipeline. There's the raw water side, which is the green line on the map there, and the finished water side, which is the blue line. So on the raw water side will be connected into three existing lines, but those will convert into two pipes that'll go from Southeast Lusted Road on the bottom right-hand corner and make their way to the filtration facility. Now on the finished water side, down Dodge Park, you'll see one single pipe running down Dodge Park. It'll turn north onto Lusted until it hits the little blue box on Lusted and Farmfield. Thank you, Aubrey. Which is what we call the finished water intertie. Out of the finished water intertie, you'll see three pipes come out of there, and those three pipes will run down Lusted. One will make a connection at the intersection of Altman and Lusted. The other two will head north up Altman Road, with one of them connecting at the intersection of Pipeline and Altman. And then the last final pipe will connect up at the intersection of Oxbow and Altman. And that's how we get the new finished water lines into the existing PWB pipeline system. I think I covered. Okay, next slide. So those of you that have been out in the area, you've noticed that there's been a lot of work happening on Dodge Park Boulevard right now. We're on the south side of Dodge Park, putting in that main raw water pipe that I talked about on the last slide. During the day, it's down to one lane that is flagged each direction. And at the end of the workday, they remove it back to normal traffic and put those temporary barrels behind the concrete barrier that is located south of the fog line on Dodge Park. They've completed about 300 feet to date. You can expect to continue to see this impact through the end of October. At the end of October, all the road constraints will be removed from Dodge Park, and we'll move our focus on to Lusted Road, which I'll talk about later. The other thing we want to highlight here is in the month of October, that is the 1 month where we are allowed per the conditions of approval to do closures on Dodge Park. There's a few crossings that we need to do on this project at Dodge Park. The ones that we'll be doing this October are near the intersections of Cottrell and Dodge. So one of the crossings will be on the south side of that intersection going across Cottrell, and the other crossing will be on the east side of that intersection going across Dodge. And we plan to execute both of those in the month of December. But of course, we will make sure local traffic and emergency vehicles, buses, farm equipment, everybody can still make their way through. However, it'll be closed off to other individuals. Next slide. This just kind of gives an overview of what's happening on Dodge Park right now, just kind of the general activities that will go on for a pipeline job. On here, even before we start excavating, the first thing we do is we set up all our SWIP, which is our stormwater pollution prevention plan. So you'll see silt fences, you'll see straw wattles, whatever's required to ensure we control any type of erosion that may come off from this project. We'll set up our traffic control, our concrete barriers so we can keep the public and our workers safe during these projects. And then we will start doing the excavation work. After excavation, we'll get the pipe delivered and we'll start putting the pipe in the ground. We'll have big shoring boxes that you may have seen when you're on Dodge Park to keep our workers safe. And also what we'll do before we start backfilling is there's a lot of quality testing that happens, which may appear why the work is not moving as quickly as one would think. But that's just because, we want to make sure that we're putting in the pipe to the quality standards that's necessary for drinking water that's sending to Portland. So we go through a very rigorous process, and we have a very stringent quality program on this project. Once we get through those tests, then we will start backfilling. That even backfilling has its challenges. You have to make sure you go slow and small lifts so that you're not affecting the shape of that pipe as you're putting soil and aggregate on top of it. And then lastly, once it's backfilled, is when we start the restoration phase, where we either fix the roads or bring the landscaping back to standard. So it's kind of an overview of the pipeline install process. Some other work that's happening. So per the conditions of approval, we can work on Dodge and Altman at the same time. So we're taking advantage of that, and starting this week, we will close Altman Road, except to local traffic, buses, emergency vehicles, farm traffic. But that'll turn into a one-way northbound for those local traffic. And during the day, they'll be flagged back and forth. And at night, it'll be opened back up to a one-way. Now, the reason we're doing this is there's a lot of different scopes that are going to be happening on Altman Road. We'll be finishing the installation of Pleasant Home Water District line. For those that you remember, that's was the work that was happening on Lusted right before suspension. That work is now turned up the road and is heading up Altman, and it'll do its final connection at the intersection of Pipeline and Altman. Some other work that's happening up there. It's one of our tie-in points, so we'll need to do some exploratory work where we can access the existing line to get the data that we need to make sure that we fabricate the connection piece correctly. And then the last bit of work that's happening towards the end of this closure, which is around the beginning of October, is we'll be running the two new water lines just north of the intersection of Altman and Lusted, so that we time it just right, that when November 1st hits, we pull all our traffic control off Altman and we move it east on Lusted, where we'll continue to install those two raw water lines, or finished water lines, I'm sorry. And then just looking a little further ahead with upcoming pipeline work. In August and September, which is now, outside of the roads, we're inside the fence for us. We'll still be doing the excavation for what we call the portal and shaft. So this is the tunnel for the raw water side that goes from Lower Lusted to the filtration site. So we'll continue to excavate down for those. And also we'll be mobilizing in September for the finished water intertie site. So you'll start to see some action just off Lusted Road, east of Altman and Lusted. In November, we'll be tunneling underneath Carpenter Lane. That work got held up right at the suspension, so we'll be bringing that work back for November. We'll be starting the installation of the distribution main that Michelle mentioned early on Cottrell Road in November. And also, as I stated before, the finished water pipe on Lusted will begin November 1st as well. And then going into the spring, once we move off Lusted, which will be in the end of April, we'll come back to Altman Road to finish that finished water pipe, starting down by Oxbow and Altman intersection, moving south. And we'll also be planning to do the blasting through the lava rock on the southeast corner of the facility. And those of you that were at the neighborhood meeting we had before the suspension, we kind of showed a video and an overview of what that's going to be like. And we'll continue to get more information out to the public on that scope as we get closer to it in the spring next year. Yeah. And I think that might be it for me, Aubrey, or maybe I got one more. If not, I'm turning it over to Tom Robertson.
Thanks, Adam. I didn't know you had quite so many slides there. I feel inadequate now, but hello, everyone. My name's Tom Robertson. I'm the project director on the facility project, and want to give you just a kind of brief overview of what we're doing currently and what's upcoming. So Right now, the big push is on the underground piping that goes underneath these big structures that Michelle kind of pointed out. Just for reference, the bottom right of the photo, that's the clear well she pointed out, that will be eventually built, big concrete structure, and then buried with dirt and turf put on, or sod put on top of it, grass. So um, we'll be working on that. We'll be working then on the next area, which is the filters, all pending as soon as we get the piping in underneath. Concrete pours are going to go for the next 18 to 24 months in order to get this done. So you guys will probably notice a lot more concrete trucks on the road. There is a lot of concrete to be poured over the next 2 years, and so there will be some additional concrete traffic. But we are going to stagger it so that it hopefully doesn't impact you guys as much as any more than it normally is. We also have an overflow basin that we'll be constructing, inlet and outlet structures that Michelle mentioned, when the water comes in and when the water leaves from Adams pipelines. And then the mechanical and electrical work site-wide will begin after the concrete pours. And we're doing some small site-wide electrical stuff now, duct banks and things, preparing for later on when we come above ground. Next slide. So yeah, I just wanted to briefly touch on the site traffic management and safety. We are having obviously a lot of increased vehicle traffic to the site. We're carefully monitoring those numbers. We do have a condition of approval to stay under 296 trips an hour. And so we monitor that daily with not only a automatic counter, but we also do a clicker counter at the gate with everybody that comes in and out. So we're trying to keep that under the limit allowed by the condition of approval. We've also started van pooling, where we have currently we have 4 vans running that they hold up to 10 people, and I'd say right now they're averaging 6 to maybe 8 people in the vans, and we plan to have up to 10 or more as we get more people on site. And it's been a big hit so far. So that'll also help reduce the traffic on Carpenter Lane and around the job site. We've tried to put up a ton of offsite signage for traffic routes and notification. Adam has done the same for the pipeline work. It's kind of a necessary evil. I know they're ugly orange signs, but it's to help our drivers stay where they're supposed to be, and then also help you guys navigate if we are working in the roads and things like that. So apologize for that. We do a lot of street sweeping, trying to control, keep the roads in a good condition where you're not, driving in mud all the time. We do everything we can to keep that under control all day long, with using water trucks and like I said, the street sweeper. It is an ongoing battle. And so, if you guys see anything, by all means, reach out and we'll address it as promptly as we can. I think that was it for me.
You're on mute,
I gotta
Benita.
take myself off of mute. I think after 3 years
Works
after COVID,
works better
I
that
would
way.
figure it out. Yeah, it does work a little bit better. So it's time for questions and comments. If you have a question or a comment you want to share, then you can just raise your hand. You can come off mute. You can just start talking off mute. I wouldn't use my example of how to get yourself off of mute, but you can also type in the chat. Keep an eye on the chat to see if anybody has any questions or comments they'd like to share. Right. Checking the chat. Seeing anything there? Any hands? Welcome, Jeff. We're just actually kind of getting to the end of this. If anybody has any questions or comments, again, this meeting is recorded, so this will be available on our website so you can view it later. And you can always contact us later if you have questions or comments. Encourage you to share this meeting information with your neighbors. Encourage them to show up if they want to learn more or have questions. All right, I think we can go to the next slide, Aubrey. And how exactly will you tell people how to get in touch with us? Well, this is a good way to do it. You can get regular e-notices from our construction on our BRTP news page. If you sign up for that, we have options for getting simply neighbor updates or meeting notifications or monthly project updates. So just you go to the portland.gov/BRTP news. You can sign up for those different e-news options. Just keep an eye out for your email box. Make sure you put water@info.portland.gov as an accepted person to or email address to receive these newsletters from. And go ahead and go to the next slide. We also have text alerts. These text alerts will be specifically for the construction updates. So each week we send out a text alert that tells you where the road closures and lane restrictions are happening. So you can sign up for that. And the text will come from 833-858-2354. Go to the next slide. And you can contact us anytime. You can call our hotline. It's 503-823-1505. And that is a voicemail hotline, but there's a number of people on the project team that review those messages. So I know a lot of people have my phone number, which is fine too, but if you for the most prompt response, it's good to leave a message, and we can get that directed to the person who can best answer that quickly. So if you see dirt on the road, like Tom was talking about, or if there's any sort of trucking violation that you see, or you just have a question about the project, feel free to call that hotline and we'll get back to you on that. We also have an email address dedicated for this project. Again, a lot of you have my email address, but this email goes to a number of people so we can get back to you more quickly. And then you can also visit our Filtration construction site that has a lot of information about what's happening for the week coming up and then beyond that time. Next up, we will have our coffee with the contractor. That's an in-person meeting, and that will be at the Grange on September 11th. October 9th we're planning to have an open house, and that will be in person as well. We'll probably share those slides or information that we're sharing at the in-person open house. We'll share that also with or on our website. But that open house will happen in the morning in Sandy, and then in the afternoon, or I guess evening time, closer to the site of the Grange. And then we'll continue with the coffee with the contractor in November and December, and then we'll be back here on Zoom in January. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And that is it for our presentation today. So I'll just give you one more minute to see if there's any final questions or comments, thoughts. All right, not seeing anybody. So thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Oh, let's see. Let's look at, there's a comment in the chat. Sorry, I can't talk, sore throat. I see the attendance for this meeting is small. How are you reaching out to the community so they know about these meetings? They're on our website. We put it in our weekly newsletter where we're when the next meeting will be. We also have a monthly newsletter that we reach out to people with. Always open to suggestions. We also just sent out a postcard that went to a 5-mile radius from the site for people to sign up to learn about when our meetings are. But always open to suggestions. So if you have other ideas, please let us know. All right, any other final questions? No problem. I appreciate you all coming out tonight, and stay hydrated.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.